time is now.
Newcastle United latest news talk
with talkSPORT's Jet Cunningham, live weekly on NUFC Talk TV, the voice of the Toon Army.
Hello, welcome to the latest Journo Insight with to me, Jack Cunningham. I'm going to run through the biggest stories around Newcastle heading into the weekend. I'm going to start with what my colleague Ben Jacobs is reporting at talkSPORT, and he is saying that Newcastle are one of several teams interested in Brooke Norton-Cuffy, the player who is a right wing back, is currently playing for Journo. He is an England under-21 international, and Everton and several Italian teams are also interested in Norton-Cuffy. So, what do we know about him, and how would he fit in with Newcastle if they were to sign him either in January or in the summer? Well, he's a former Arsenal Academy graduate. He's 22 years old. He played in the successful Under-21 European Championships last summer for England. Didn't start a lot of games, but he played alongside Tino Livramento. He came on as a substitute very, very often, and he impressed with his physicality and pace and ball carrying. Sounds familiar? Yes. Does sound a little bit like Tino Livramento, doesn't it, in many ways in terms of the ball carrying and the one-on-one defending. So Norton-Cuffy, if Newcastle are to make a move for him, then the question becomes, is he a Kieran Trippier / Emma Kraft replacement, or is he a Tino Livramento replacement? Well, as I reported a couple of weeks ago, and as it's been reported in several other places, Livramento at the moment has shown no signs or willingness to sign a new contract at Newcastle. Now, that's according to my colleague Alex Crook. We know Manchester City are sniffing around for Livramento. There's long-standing interest there from Pep Guardiola's side for Livramento. And it feels as when you look at what Norton-Cuffy is good at, a lot of the same characteristics that Livramento has. So when we're talking about one-on-one defending, the physicality of the player, and the fact that he's a really good ball carrier. At the moment, he's actually playing majority as a wing-back for Journo, but the belief around most people in football is that he will easily be able to slot back in at right-back, and feels as if there's going to be plenty of teams, including Newcastle, interested in him. Maybe not necessarily this month, but certainly one to definitely keep an eye on in the summer and see how he does over the course of the rest of the season as well. And what's really interesting in many ways about it is because of this Tino Livramento situation. Like, if we're looking for a similar player, then you couldn't get much closer. But equally, is that because Eddie Howe just wants to have two right backs who all have the same characteristics? And the plan is that Livramento will sign a new contract. Now, at the moment, as I said, shown no signs of willingness to sign a new deal. But equally, he has mentioned it before. I think he was talking about his future again. No, I wouldn't say it was taking how about he was committing himself to Newcastle. He's saying how much he enjoys his time at Newcastle. We have to see how it goes at the end. We'll see what Ross Wilson comes up with at the end of the season. I guess to see where Newcastle finish at the end of the season as well, because if Newcastle get Champions League football again, and I don't know, say potentially win a trophy or go far in the Champions League, then maybe that'll help convince Livramento to stay, and Norton-Cuffy would come in as an option alongside him. So that's one at the moment to keep an eye on. Another one from my colleague at talkSPORT is about more sort of probably immediate matters, which is Matt Targett. So he is currently on loan at Middlesbrough. There was a deadline, there still is a deadline to which Newcastle have to decide to recall him from Borough. and Ben Jacobs understands that has been extended for a little bit longer. So Newcastle still have time to bring back Matt Targett if they want to have that backup left back for Lewis Hall. Now, Targett is having a very good season at Middlesbrough. He's played 25 games in the Championship. They're currently second under Kim Hellberg, absolutely flying. He's played left back, he's played centre back, and he's played most minutes. The last few games, he's played 90 minutes, the full match. 2 goals to assist this season. He's thriving at 30 years old, is Targett, and enjoying the best time of his career for a long time because, let's be fair, came in at Newcastle on loan and did a really good job as we stayed up comfortably. Looked like he was going to be the left back for the following season, and it just never happened for him. Dan Burn got the spot at left back, and we never looked back. And we had a brilliant year in terms of defensively, one of the best defenders in the Premier League that season as we finished 4th and got Champions League football. And Targett just didn't really get a look in. And then injuries have, of course, hit him ever since. He had this weird bout with eczema even that kept him out for ages. So for whatever reason, it's not really happened with Targett. Now, equally, Newcastle do need cover for Lewis Hall. I think we're looking at how many minutes Hall's playing and the games coming up for Newcastle as well. And you need your best players available for these matches. And we could really do without Hall suffering any form of injury and being out for any period of time. So any time we get to rest him, we should be taking. Now, it remains to be seen if Howe thinks that Burn would do that as the left back. So I would think that would be more a case of maybe winning games and then you take Hall off and you put Burn on at left back rather than starting Burn at left back, because I think starting Burn at left back has caused us all sorts of problems in possession and out of possession. I think we have to change a lot of things without Hall there. Targett, maybe less so. Of course, he's nowhere near on the level of Lewis Hall, but he is an actual left back, which would help. So there's a decision to be made there. Do you leave him at Borough and let him continue to play well and hopefully get them promoted to the Premier League, because they're looking very good too? And then in the summer, do Middlesbrough take him off Newcastle's hands permanently because he's done so well? Or do we decide to recall him as cover for Lewis Hall till the end of the season, considering Newcastle are still in the Carabao Cup? Yes, 2-0 down to Manchester City, but one more leg to go. I've got at least another 2 games in the Champions League, because either going to finish either going to get through automatically in the top 8 to the last 16, or going to have a playoff round. So at least 3 more games in the Champions League, and maybe an FA Cup run. Of course, Aston Villa away is going to be extremely tricky, but equally, the games are coming thick and fast. So there's a decision to be made there on Matt Targett, and it remains to be seen what Newcastle decide to do. But that deadline has been extended for if we want to bring him back. So let's see what happens on that one. But certainly one to watch with the days ticking by until the end of the transfer window. And finally, Eddie Howe has provided an update on Bruno Guimarães, although it wasn't really an update necessarily, but it was essentially that they're going to give Bruno every single chance possible to be involved on Sunday against Aston Villa. We all saw on Wednesday against PSV, he landed awkwardly after challenging with the goalkeeper, played on for about 10 more minutes, clearly in a lot of pain, came off the field, replaced by Lewis Miley. He did walk down the tunnel, seemed fine. And after the game, Howe said that the swelling's still there. They don't know how serious it is. And even today in the press conference, he said he doesn't know how serious it is yet. So the fact the swelling hasn't gone down yet doesn't suggest it's too great. But I'm sure they'll be having a scan very soon. And Bruno himself said that he hopes the injury is not too serious. And I think one positive from it was that Eddie did say that Bruno was in good spirits and seemed a bit more confident about it maybe than he was initially. So let's see what happens with Bruno. Now, one thing I would say 100% is against Aston Villa, yes, Newcastle's record without Guimarães is truly terrible. when he's not in the starting 11. Equally, if there is any doubt at all over his fitness, if he's not at 100% or even 80% and there's a chance of a long-term injury there, Newcastle cannot play him in that match. As much as this is a huge game, and as much as I said, the record isn't good without him, you can't afford to lose Bruno Guimarães for a long period of time with numerous competitions coming up, because that will ultimately badly impact the rest of the season. If he misses the one game and Newcastle don't beat Aston Villa, yes, it'd be drop points, it'd be frustrating, but equally, there's other games to get points in, and you've got a better chance of that with Guimarães being available than not being available. So we really need to see some precaution and caution here. I do not want to see him playing if there's even any doubt. Same with PSG on Wednesday as well. If there's any doubt over him at all, he should not be involved. He's too important to Newcastle this season. What a season he is having. 8 goals, in the Premier League alone. Just delivering captain-like performances in basically every game. He's had a few poor ones, but he's had a lot less poor ones than a lot of the other players around him. So he is crucial for Newcastle this year, and it would be a mistake to involve him against Aston Villa if there is any doubt over him whatsoever. The games coming up, we all know the fixture list, we all know the schedule. You have a much better chance of coming out of that run positively if you have a fully fit Bruno Guimarães who's rested maybe for a game or 2 games, rather than one who you put in, he wasn't quite fit, he damages it worse, and he's out for maybe a few weeks, a couple of months even. Because if he's out for a couple of months, in the end from that, then you're looking at sort of a March return date. So this is a really tricky situation because we all know how important he is. And it probably comes down to that sort of thing, what we've been talking about in the January transfer window, the short-term versus long-term situation that Eddie Howe has been discussing. So is it a matter of, do you play him, do you risk him? And if he gets through fine, then brilliant. If he doesn't get through fine, what's that going to do for the rest of the season? So that's where we are with Bruno Guimarães. That's where we are with Norton-Cuffy. And that is also where we are with Matt Targett's situation. In terms of January transfers, elsewhere, it seems like it's a very, very quiet month looking like. And it remains to be seen if that is the right decision. We've also seen, again, talkSPORT colleagues Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs understand that Raihan is going to join Bournemouth. So a winger Newcastle looked at quite extensively, in the end decided not to make a bid, and Eddie Howe himself totally dismissed any speculation over Raihan joining Newcastle, and that looks like one that is going to slip through our fingers. Remains to be seen how much we regret it, but clearly an exciting talent. Ultimately, it's clearly probably being decided that the budget just isn't there to justify spending sort of £25 million-ish on a player such as Raihan, who is entirely untested in Europe and is still raw and ultimately maybe not going to deliver the instant impact straight away. So remains to be seen on that one, but that is where we are. That's your Journo Insight update for the week, and you can join me for my next 2 live shows on Thursday and Sunday. On Thursday, we'll be looking back at PSG and looking ahead to the playoff draw. Might not be the playoff draw. Hopefully won't be the playoff draw, but looking ahead to the next round of the Champions League. And then on Sunday, we'll be reflecting on Liverpool, where Newcastle go to Anfield, with probably the best chance we've had in a long, long time of getting a result. So I hope you can join me then. But that is your Journo Insight update. Have a great weekend, and how are the lads?